Vandy's biggest key to success against Tech is finding ways to create opportunities to get the ball in space.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, the transfer portal buzz is heating up, and as you know, there's some key skill guy candidates in the mix at some key positions of need, and one of them being a quarterback, and got a couple of receivers and a corner. Got some linemen set to visit later on this week as well. We talked about in a previous episode, so things are looking up as far as the transfer portal goes. But since Vandy's in a bowl game, well, we're going to talk about this because Vandy needs to find ways to get the ball into space versus Tech's defense. Like I said, built very similarly to Vandy, so they got to find ways to get it there. So when you look at this Vandy offense, when you look at this Georgia Tech defense, as I was watching some of the, what the ACC does a really good job of is they put those condensed games on YouTube, and so I watched a couple of those with Georgia Tech. I watched their matchup with Miami, and I watched their matchup against Duke. And what I noticed against their defense, what I noticed that when the other team had success moving the ball, it's because they put the ball on the perimeter quickly and they forced those guys out there to make tackles in space, and they found ways to create space out on the perimeter, and they attacked it and forced guys to run. And once they got some of those defenders on the run and made them, I guess, put them in conflict in some scenarios where they would, do some option stuff or some RPO stuff or, things like that. What they did a really good job of was they forced those perimeter defenders, those edge guys, those box safeties, those corners, and then they forced the inside linebackers to run. And this was just in a couple of games I watched. And of course, these teams had minimal success because Georgia Tech's defense is very pesky. They are very physical. And if you try to run downhill at them, they are very capable of clogging things up on the interior if you want to play straight ahead. They did really well against straight ahead teams. But when teams were able to get the ball out on the perimeter, when they were able to create and get the ball into space, when they were able to create space with pre-snap motions and moving guys around and creating a lot of conflict for this defense, when this defense had to think and react, they were slow and they couldn't get there, and they couldn't make those plays in space. And that's going to be kind of the key. And that's been what Diego Pavia has done really well all season long when Vandy's had success, is they're able to create that space. They're able to create that horizontal stretch. Even when teams condense down, like Bama was able to condense down a little bit and they had a little bit of success. But what Vandy did a good job of was taking that and saying, okay, well, we're not going to really be able to stretch you vertically right now, but we're going to create opportunities for ourselves to do so by stretching you out horizontally, making you play out on an island. And they couldn't handle that for the most part. And they ended up losing. I think Vandy put a 40 spot on them, if I remember correctly. But it's one of those things where you look at it and you say, okay, well, this is, they go a little bit of tempo, not much. They attack space, they move around on you, they shift and then motion formations and things like that. So this is something that, again, Diego Pavia's knowledge, this is something I talked about in the last episode. This is the knowledge that he brings. He's able to set up this defense into what he wants them to do, right? And they're able, Tim Beck and Jerry Kill, they know, it's a trust thing, right? Because I don't think they would do this with just any quarterback. I think they trust Diego Pavia to be able to make things happen So what they've been doing this year to kind of help that, because Diego Pavia is limited in throwing the ball down the field. We all know that. We all know that he's limited as a drop back passer, and he's not going to sit back there and pick you apart from the pocket. That's for sure. So they don't try to do that. They try to limit as many pocket opportunities as they can. Teams try to keep Diego Pavia in the pocket and make him beat them from the pocket. And so when teams do that, that's where they have the success. And I thought in a couple of games, Vandy got away from what they try to do best, because early in the season, they would force their identity on you. They would force the run game on you. They made you defend that over and over and over again. That's what was so potent about it, because, you may get them on first down. Well, they're going to come back second down. They're going to get like 7 yards on second down and get back into third manageable, and then continue to move the chains. Like, they're going to continue to force you to defend all of the grass. And when they got away from that, I think they got a little bit more conservative as the year went on, because they were just trying to hang on to the ball and then trying to burn clock, and it just wasn't quite working. So what they were able to do when they were able to do best is, hey, we're going to keep attacking the edge. We're going to keep getting the ball out of the perimeter. We're going to keep moving guys around, making defenders move, making defenders run. Because if you can, defenders are great playing downhill. And when they can come downhill, break down, and wrap up, they're going to make every play out there, because these are Division I college athletes that are getting now paid, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And they're going to make those plays. So in order to get these guys to not make those plays, you have to get them moving sideways. You have to get them in a position to where, they can't break down and close the space and get you. You have to take all that away. You have to attack it, and you have to force them to be on the run, force them to have to make a play on the run, force them to have to chase. It wears them out. It puts them in conflict. And then you have stuff off of things, right? You have, you motion a guy out there and throw a bubble screen, and everyone flies out there. Then you do the same exact motion, and you run Pavia up the middle. Well, you've got those linebackers. They go 1, 2, 3 out to the outside, because they're anticipating. Next thing you know, they have to redirect, and their angles are shot. So it's a thing where, early on, Vandy was able to be more deceptive in their play calls. I think even in these road games, even when they weren't scoring a ton of points, they were still moving the ball really well. They were able to be deceptive in their play calling. They were able to disguise a lot better. And so by doing that, that creates space, right? That creates opportunities to get the ball in the space, right? And when you can create opportunities to get the ball in space, guess what it opens up? It opens up the middle, where Vandy really wants to go. Vandy really, if they could line it up and hammer it downhill at you for 60 plays a game, they would. They absolutely would. They want to do that. They want to do that, and they want to dump it to the tight end every once in a while, but they want to run downhill. They want to come at you. But they can't. They know they can't. They're limited. This group is limited as far as depth, and they can't do everything that they want to do. So they have to make exceptions. They have to create that space for themselves. Most teams nowadays have to create that space. Most teams have to get inventive. They have to get creative to be able to get that horizontal stretch. Because that's the first level of being able to take shots down the field, right? The reason why Vandy was able to hit the shot plays that they were able to hit, the reason why Quincy Skinner had that long touchdown against Virginia Tech, the reason why Hoskins had that long touchdown against Kentucky, McVeigh against Missouri. I think Junior Sherrill had one against Alabama, and I think he's had a couple. Quincy Skinner's had a couple of shot plays that they've been able to hit on. The reason why they're able to do those kind of things is because they can get the ball to the edge quickly. Which creates some success up the middle, which then again, it keeps the defense guessing. Now they come down to stop the run. Boom! Here we go over the top, and they're able to hit on some plays. So it's one of those things where you look at it and say, okay, well, this is, they're able to do some things out here. We're able to do some things out there. So Tech's defense is real susceptible to that kind of thing. They don't tackle well in space. They don't tackle well on the run. And I think as aggressive as they are, their weakness is when you're able to spread them out, when you're able to get them on the move, when you're able to change keys on them. That's the whole thing. And that's why that's important. And a lot of teams, I'm not saying this is a problem unique to Georgia Tech, because there are certainly a lot of teams out there playing in the bowl games, even some of the teams playing in the college football playoff, that don't play in space as well as they should. They don't make the reads as well as they should. They're not good conflict defenders. And some teams are athletic enough to make up for that, like a South Carolina, who's not in the playoff, but they're a team that's like, okay, well, we get guys in conflict, but we can erase that conflict. Georgia, when they're on top of their game, is like that. Tennessee is like that. Oregon is like that. And so those are the type of teams that can kind of erase that conflict, and it's kind of irrelevant against. But for the most part, most teams, not and including Georgia Tech, are very susceptible to A, not tackling well in space, B, they give up, they get stretched out, they get guys on the move. They're not really good at adjusting on the fly, and I think Vanderbilt's really good at making you adjust on the fly, and that's where they have their success. So it's going to be an interesting game plan, because they're essentially game planning against themselves. It's kind of like a spring game, like I said on last episode. They're just kind of looking in the mirror. So, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good matchup. Like I said, it's going to be a really good chess match between two really great coaching staffs, two really good quarterbacks, and two really potent offenses in slightly different ways. And that's going to be very, very fun. But the transfer portal rages on as well. Vandy's in uncharted territory. They're preparing for a bowl game and hosting portal targets and things like that. They still have to build their roster for next year. There's one special guest that's coming in this week. It's this quarterback situation that's ever changing, that you just got to kind of have to prepare for different things. And so it's going to be interesting, but we'll talk about who that is and what that means next. All right, Omaha Steaks. That's later. We're going to talk about FanDuel. Yeah, we're going to talk about FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook, because guess what? You can get ready to tackle the NFL action with America's number one sportsbook. Because right now, as I'm watching this NFL game, you can bet live on this game as you're watching whatever Monday Night Football. New customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. So if you just signed up for your account and you want to go make some live bets, go for it, right? Like, take the under in this game, because it's kind of bad. But the FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So here's that avenue. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Also, thanks to this new partnership with the Joint Chiropractic Group, I've never felt so much better in my life, and I'm definitely going back very, very soon to get another adjustment, because when I left that office, I felt really, really good. Like, I felt loose. I floated out of there. And they have 900 locations nationwide. I'm not going to visit all 900, obviously, but the one in Bellevue, Tennessee is the one that I'm going to frequent. Dr. Nolan took care of me. There's other doctors that cycle through there, but Dr. Nolan took care of me big time and evaluated my range of motion and my movements. And then he got me right. And he even just did the hey, this is the beginner session where he just crack. Hey, we'll send you on your way. This is all you could probably handle for now. We'll get more in depth as we go. But man, it was a great experience, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thoroughly enjoyed their staff. So visit the Joint Clinic nearest you. Right, you come in, you get a plan, and again, it's convenient to walk in. Gotta love it. So the Joint Chiropractic. If you're in the Bellevue area, visit that one, but please visit the one nearest you because there's 900 locations. do it. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Locked On SEC, if you need a second listen, Chris Gordy does a phenomenal job. The squad is going to continue, the SEC squad shows. Those are a lot of fun. I enjoyed those throughout football season. It's going to continue throughout basketball season. Zach Blackerby will probably be more involved since Auburn's now a basketball school. Didn't have that on my radar, but here we are. So, talking transfer portal now, because this is a very important tool for Vandy to use as far as building the roster and getting things off on the right track. So Thomas Castellanos is visiting. He's set to visit Vandy. He's got a few options, but he's set to visit Vandy. He's visiting Florida State first, and then I think he's going to Vandy and Mizzou later on this week. So this is going to be an interesting one. This is a very interesting target because, with Florida State, they're going more towards the Gus Bus offense, which I don't know what that means, but Florida State's a freaking mess right now. And I don't know what to make of this Florida State situation. They just hired Gus Malzahn as their offensive coordinator. He stepped down from being head coach at UCF, and they went back to the Scott Frost well because, again, I think that went well for them back then. I don't know what Scott Frost is like now. That's irrelevant. But Thomas Castellanos played for Gus Malzahn way back when at UCF coming out of high school. So that'll be an interesting fit there to see kind of how they want to use him at Florida State. But Vandy is interested as well. Here's the thing. There's some pros and cons with this guy, and I guess there's some pros and cons with everybody. But with Thomas Castellanos, okay, one of his couple highlight games his couple of his big games this year, he threw 4 touchdowns against Duquesne, and he also had a monster game down in Tallahassee against Florida State, who at the time we thought was still a good team, but come to find out, Florida State was come to find out later, Florida State was an awful team. And here's the thing about Castellanos. As far as a scheme fit, as far as what Vandy does, they need an explosive runner that can throw. And I think he would be a good scheme fit with his skill set. I think he's an explosive runner. I think he kind of knows the quarterback option run game. I think he'd be good in some quarterback design runs as well, that aren't options that are just, hey, we know the quarterback's about to carry this ball, come stop it, right? He's got a little bit more pop than Diego Pavia has as far as explosiveness, but I don't know. I have some concerns with Castellanos, right? Again, he's fast. He can make the throws. He can make the throws, right? But he just doesn't. That's my concern. Sometimes he just doesn't. He's very inconsistent. And I worry about that because Vandy doesn't need, like, Pavia is great. But Pavia is a very inconsistent player himself. But his moxie, his leadership, and his grit and toughness kind of make up for a lot of that inconsistency and kind of makes it not so inconsistent. But if you look at him just at a surface level, he is kind of an inconsistent quarterback. But he makes up for it in a lot of ways. I don't think Thomas Castellanos makes up for it quite like Diego Pavia can, right? And I worry about some of that. Like, he got benched at Boston College because he couldn't throw. He wasn't a good throw. He didn't fit into Bill O'Brien's scheme. Let's just call it what it is. He didn't fit in the scheme. Bill O'Brien knew it. He was asking him to do things he couldn't do, but I don't think he handled the benching very well. He left the program. He got benched and said, "You know what? I'm gone. See you." Right? And I didn't love that. And so that's some questions that I guess Vandy staff is going to have for him. Like, hey, what happened here? Why did you step away after being benched? What happened? What led to the benching? I'm sure he's going to talk to Bill O'Brien. I'm sure they're going to follow up because this is such an important position. And if Diego Pavia's lawsuit doesn't go the way we hope it goes, they're going to need to hit on this quarterback. Whoever it is, it's going to need to be a hit. Okay, because that you can't have a setback there. Not when you had the momentum that Vandy has. Like that, like Clark Lee bought himself some time, but he lost 3 in a row down the stretch. He doesn't have as much time as you think he does. And so if you if you don't get this quarterback right, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong because football is that, but for the most part, you need to nail this next quarterback. All right. And if it's Diego Pavia, that's going to help a lot. But if it's not Diego Pavia, it's got to be the right guy. Whether you go portal, whether you go somebody on your roster, whether you believe in somebody in your roster, I don't know. But when you put your chips on that guy that you name quarterback one, it better be the right fit, and it better be somebody that can handle the heat of the SEC. It better be somebody that can be explosive. It better be somebody that can gain some consistency in the passing game. It's got to be a game breaker. It's got to be a guy that can be a star. Diego Pavia is a star. That's what makes him special. He's a star. Everybody knows it. Everybody follows him. He's got grit. He could have one arm falling off, his head poltergeisted sideways, his foot missing. He could have like cannonball chunks taken out of his side. It doesn't matter. He's gonna gut through it. And he's going to ball out in the face of all that. And the guys know it. The guys know that he's going to go 110 miles an hour. They know he's going to be the guy, and he's going to be there, and he's a star, and everybody knows it. But is the next guy going to be that? Is the next guy going to be as reliable as Diego Pavia? Diego Pavia, for his inconsistencies, everybody knows he's going to make some plays. And everybody knows what he's got. Everybody knows what he's going to bring to the table. Nobody doubts him ever. But the question is, physically, yes. Skill set wise, yes. He's a little bit on the small side. I don't love that either. But, Diego Pavia proved that you don't need to be some 6'4" gunslinger to play in this offense, right? And Tim Beck can mold his offense however he needs to. He's a little bit of a chameleon in that regard, which is good. But Castellanos, a little bit on the small side. I don't love that, but great athlete. I want to emphasize, can make the throws, is capable of making every throw in tight windows. He's capable of running an RPO style offense. He's capable of running an option style offense. He's capable of making plays. He's a good quarterback. But for Vandy, they don't need a good quarterback. They need a star that can make plays. They need a star that can walk into the huddle and say, I got this, guys. Put this on my shoulders. Give me the rock. I got this. I'm going to take this thing and score. We're going to win this game. We're going to take this ball and we're going to drive down the field and we're going to seal this game against Alabama. Can he do that? Can he say, hey, we're down a touchdown on the road. We need a first down. I'm your guy. Can he do that? That's the question that they got to ask, because it's important. It's important to hit on this. And if they bring him in and he's a bust, well, we could be looking for a new head coach. That's where we're at with this. Because you get a bust at the quarterback position, either the next guy up better be ready, or it's going to be a long, rocky road for you throughout that season. And you're going to be right back at square one. So it's important. Can he do it? I got my concerns, but I think he can. He has the capability, which I am hopeful about. I am optimistic about that. So there's some other targets on the hook that I really, really like. We're going to talk about that next. Omaha Steaks. Yeah. This is, man, I'm so fired up about this one, man, because nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like an unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection in every single bite, and right now you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Score an extra $30 off with promo code college. Man, you can't beat that, man. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steak have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites. From legendary steaks to mouthwatering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. That's 50% off at OMAHAsteaks.com. An extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchase may apply. And you know what would go great on your Omaha steak? That's right. If you have some leftover and you wanted to eat a steak bagel. That's right. Have you ever had a steak bagel? If you haven't, you're missing out. Well, it better be a Creve Hall bagel, because that sourdough bagel with, just think of all the flavor. You get a nice little leftover ribeye. You slice it up nice and thin. You put it between. You get you a little bit of schmear, and you get like a cheddar bagel from Creve Hall Bagel, and you just make yourself a sandwich. Okay, I'll be right back. No, just kidding. But Creve Hall Bagel, they do it right, man. They do it absolutely right. So, thanks for listening to Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen. Follow us at Coach Burton 36. That's my personal, and follow at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. And this is a journey, man. I'm starting to get more involved on social media, so follow me, make it happen. So, got a couple targets in the transfer portal that are on the way. One of my favorite ones, a couple wide receiver targets that I really like. There was an offer made to Caleb Goody out of Colorado State. Man, I watched his highlights. That dude, not only is he big, he's fast. He can make it happen, right? There was the first play. You need to do yourself a favor. You need to go and watch his highlight reel, because his first play is an end around. And they do a great job of motioning and doing, but he gets the ball and he is just on you in a hurry. He looks real smooth running the ball, and he's just on you in a freaking hurry, right? He's great at making contested catches. He can get on top of you on a vertical route. He's somebody that can do a lot of different things, and he looks like the way he plays. And I think if Vandy can get him, to me, he's the alpha guy that is much, much needed in this wide receiver core. He's the guy that will go get it for you. He's the guy that, hey, the game's on the line. You need a tough catch. You need a tough first down catch. He's the guy that's going to make that catch. He's the guy that's going to go up and get the ball, and he's going to let you know about it. And that's the kind of swagger you need. That's the kind of confidence you need, because Vandy lacked that all season long. You know, I thought Darian Wiley was going to be that guy. He wasn't. He was injured a lot. He didn't even play. Caleb Goody is somebody that would fire me up, man. And I think he would fire everybody else up too as well. He comes out of Colorado State. I thought he had a really good year for the Rams. And like I said, man, he's just a playmaker, man. He's just so, I guess the word to describe him is just sudden. He's just real sudden, because he just like any cushion you give him, he evaporates it. Any space that you take away, he's going to take it right back, and he's going to create some for himself. He's a guy that's going to go up and get the ball if you're draped all over him. He's going to make the catch on you. He's going to run away from you. He can run routes over the middle. He can do a lot of different things, but he's a guy that you're going to like throwing that vertical pass to. He's going to be the guy that you're going to like to stutter and go to. He is the guy. And to me, he comes off as that alpha receiver. So I'm very, very encouraged by him. There's another guy that I think is a target. I think he's set to visit. I'm not exactly sure, but his name is Giovanni Gibson, and he's from Arkansas Pine Bluff. And I like this. You know, Arkansas Pine Bluff loses their head coach, Jerry Mack. He ends up at Kennesaw State, and I really like this guy a lot too. I mean, I think he can be an alpha type receiver as well. He's, again, he's 6'3". He's 6'3". I think he jumps off the page at you. He's really good again, kind of like Goody. I think they're both very similar in what they can do. He might even be a better route runner. I mean, I'm watching him set up defenders. He just ran a flag route on his highlight reel, and I watched him set up the defender and really just go up and make the play. He's just kind of that guy with a lot of confidence. He's fast. I haven't seen him block on the perimeter. I'm curious to know if they can block on the perimeter, but I guess that's something that's going to come with time. But again, just I'm really excited about some of these targets. And I think if they can get one of these two guys, I think if given the choice, I would take Goody first and then Gibson. If I had to rank them, Goody did it against better competition. Goody, I think, is a little bit more electric. I think a little bit more alpha. And, Gibson, again, I think he's very dynamic. He can do a lot of things. And this is what this Vandy offense needs, man. They need some dynamic guys. Like Junior Sherrill, I thought did a really good job of coming on late in the season, and he's going to be very pivotal in the bowl game. But they need more of that. They need an alpha guy. They need a dude, right? They need an absolute menace out there. And either one of these guys, I think, could fit that bill. We'll see kind of what happens with this, but we'll kind of see if the offer to Caleb Goody does anything. I don't know if it'll move the needle for him. He doesn't have any visits set up that are imminent, but he is interested, and I think there is mutual interest, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But that's all I got for you guys today. Locked On Vandy, thanks for listening. Thanks for making us your first listen. Like and subscribe at Locked On Vandy. Check it out. Let's get the subscriber list up to 1,000. I'll do a giveaway. I don't know what the prize is going to be, but I'll do a giveaway of some sort. If I get to 1,000, I'll pick for my subscriber list or the follow list on social media. I'll choose somebody at random, and I will send you some goodies. I don't know what that'll be, but let's just get me to 1,000 and we'll figure it out. So that being said, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of the show, and we'll see you back here next time on the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Peace.